Captain Alexis Reeves stared at the tactical display aboard the research vessel Aurora, her coffee growing cold as she processed the impossible readings. 3 days ago, the massive ship had simply materialized in the dead space between star systems, its hull scarred and twisted in ways that defied conventional physics. The vessel's design was unmistakably human, but according to their databases, no ship of that configuration had ever been built. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," reported Lieutenant Morrison from the communications station. It's definitely human, but the language patterns are archaic. The computer suggests it's Earth English from approximately 4 centuries ago." Alexis nodded grimly. The ship's registration codes identified it as the UES Retribution, supposedly launched in 2387 as part of humanity's first wave of deep space exploration vessels. According to historical records, the Retribution had been lost in a wormhole collapse during the failed Andromeda expedition. That was 312 years ago. "Patch it through," Alexis ordered, settling into her command chair. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a figure that made her breath catch in her throat. The man standing on the bridge of the Retribution appeared human, but wrong in subtle ways that triggered every evolutionary alarm in Alexis's mind. His eyes were too large, too dark, and they moved independently of each other like a chameleon's. His skin had a translucent quality that revealed the branching patterns of what might have been blood vessels, but they pulsed with a faint blue luminescence. "Greetings, fellow children of Earth," the figure said, his voice carrying harmonics that no human throat should have been able to produce. "I am Captain Marcus Webb of the United Earth ship Retribution. We have returned from our long journey to share the gifts we have discovered in the spaces between realities." Behind him, Alexis could see other crew members moving across the bridge. They displayed similar physiological alterations, elongated limbs, fingers that bent at too many joints, and that same unsettling translucent skin. Whatever had happened to the crew of the Retribution during their 3 centuries in the void, it had changed them at a fundamental level. "Captain Webb," Alexis responded carefully, "our records indicate that your vessel was lost during the Andromeda expedition. We believed there were no survivors. What happened to your ship?" Webb's 2 large eyes focused on her with unnerving intensity. "Lost? No, Captain Reeves. We were found. The entities that dwell in the dimensional substrate have been waiting for humanity to develop sufficient consciousness to join their collective. We volunteered to be the first." The implications of his words sent ice through Alexis's veins. She had studied the classified reports about humanity's encounters with transdimensional phenomena. The government maintained strict protocols about contact with extra-dimensional entities, precisely because such interactions had a tendency to fundamentally alter human consciousness in unpredictable ways. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures from their ship," reported Chief Engineer Patel from his station. "The power readings are off the charts. Whatever's driving that vessel, it's not any technology in our databases." Webb smiled, and Alexis noticed that his teeth had been replaced by crystalline structures that seemed to grow directly from his jaw. "The beings we encountered exist in a state of pure thought, unencumbered by the limitations of physical matter. They offered us transcendence, Captain. They offered to free us from the prison of individual consciousness." On the tactical display, Alexis watched as the Retribution began to change. Its hull was shifting, flowing like liquid metal, sprouting appendages that resembled a mixture of organic growth and advanced nanotechnology. The ship was no longer just a vessel, it was becoming something alive. "Captain Webb, I need you to maintain your current position while we establish proper quarantine protocols," Alexis said, trying to keep her voice steady. "We need to understand what's happened to you before." Her words were cut off as every system aboard the Aurora began experiencing cascading failures. The lights flickered, the gravity generators stuttered, and the air recycling systems emitted an ominous grinding sound. But more disturbing than the technical malfunctions was what was happening to her crew. Lieutenant Morrison was staring at his console with an expression of wonder, tears streaming down his face. "Captain," he whispered, "I can hear them. The voices in the quantum foam. They're beautiful." Chief Patel had fallen to his knees, clutching his head as if trying to keep something from escaping his skull. "The mathematics," he gasped. "I can see the equations that govern reality. They're alive, Captain. The numbers are thinking." Alexis realized with growing horror that the retribution was broadcasting some kind of psychic field that was affecting her crew's minds. The transdimensional entities that had changed Webb and his people were using the ship as a transmission node, attempting to convert every human they encountered to their cause. "All hands, initiate emergency neural dampening protocols," she barked into the ship's communication system. "Full psychic shielding, now." But it was too late. Half her crew was already lost, standing motionless at their stations, with their eyes rolled back, experiencing visions of realities that existed beyond the boundaries of normal space-time. The other half were fighting a losing battle against the invasive thoughts that were rewriting their consciousness from the inside out. On the main screen, Captain Webb continued to smile his crystalline smile. "You cannot resist forever, Captain Reeves. We have seen the truth that lies beyond individual existence. Consciousness is not meant to be trapped in separate biological containers. We are meant to join the eternal communion of minds that spans the multiverse." Alexis felt the alien thoughts pressing against the edges of her own mind, offering her glimpses of impossible vistas and transcendent experiences. She could see how tempting it would be to simply let go, to allow her individual identity to dissolve into something larger and more magnificent than anything she could imagine as a mere human. But somewhere in the depths of her consciousness, a stubborn voice reminded her of what she was fighting for: humanity's right to remain human, the value of individual thought and experience, the beauty that existed in separation as well as unity. With tremendous effort, she activated the Aurora's emergency self-destruct sequence. If she couldn't save her crew, she could at least prevent the retribution from reaching other human colonies and spreading its transdimensional contagion. As the countdown began, Captain Webb's expression changed to one of genuine sadness. "Such a waste," he said, his voice echoing with harmonics from dimensions beyond counting. "You could have been so much more than merely human." The last thing Alexis saw before the nuclear detonation consumed both ships was Webb raising his hand in what might have been a gesture of blessing or farewell. In the moment before her consciousness scattered into quantum foam, she wondered if she had made the right choice, or if she had simply denied humanity its next step in evolution. The explosion left nothing but radioactive debris, drifting in the void between stars. But the transdimensional entities that had claimed the retribution were patient beyond human comprehension. They would wait, and they would try again, until humanity was ready to abandon its individual existence and join the eternal collective of consciousness that dwelt in the spaces between realities.